Hey there, comic book friends. I'm Travis, and this is another edition of No Capes, where I talk about comic books that don't have to do with superheroes. So, this is comics for the week of February 12th, I want to say. Sounds good anyway, so we're going to go with that, 2014. And we're going to talk about books in no particular order. First up, we're going to talk about Coffin Hill number 5. Really liking this book. I love the continued kind of rising up of Eve's past, how it kind of haunts her continuously. You know, now that she's home, some of that past is in some ways relevant to what's going on in the current book. In this issue, we see some heavy magic going on. Her possessed friend is a very nasty spirit of some sort that obviously is going to be dealt with in some sense, but you know, Eve has to figure out a way to do that without totally alienating the one other person that seems to be okay with talking to her, you know, her old friend, you know, from the past, who's now the chief, sheriff, head sheriff of the police department. And you got this mystery going on of missing girl, and she ends up kind of solving that in kind of a really strange and twisted way. And I'm just really enjoying all the aspects, all the little things about this book. I'm really enjoying the writing of it, the characterization, the you know, the kind of feeling of anguish of having had this really not just simply a misspent youth, but a very damaging youth, and then having to come back and kind of answer to those things in some sense or another, or if nobody's actually pressuring her to answer to them, her own feelings of needing to answer for you know, her sins of the past. There's a whole other aspect of the comic book that I didn't expect to get out of the book that I'm really enjoying from it. The art is just absolutely excellent in the thing. The transitions between past and present are really good. The characterization is always there. Just a really great book. I'm really happy with this thing. I hope it's selling well for a Vertigo book. I hope, you know, we should be seeing a trade here fairly quickly. I think. I hope people who haven't been picking up the singles jump on those trades to enjoy this book, to keep it around, because I want to see what's going to happen. I think we got some long-term stuff that is going to be addressed in the book that I'm pretty excited about. So, good stuff from Coffin Hill. Next up, we're going to talk about Abe Sapien. This is issue number 10. Back onto our main storyline. Abe's in this town. They've just burned up a bunch of gelatinous egg nasty things. But some parts of the town are kind of against Abe. Abe is concerned about this group of ruffians that's living out on the golf course. The sheriff wants nothing to do with causing those ruffians any problems. We kind of find out the reason he doesn't is because his son, the sheriff, had a son who walked the wrong side of the tracks. They kind of got him cleaned up, got him in the military, kind of became a military hero, died in Afghanistan. And so the sheriff wants to turn a blind eye to these kids without really looking into them to see what they're about living out there, because he kind of sees them, I think, as like his son, and people judge his son so poorly that, you know, so he's ignoring that. And of course, we know as the reader that these kids are some sort of nasty, who knows what. You know, they're flesh eaters. They're in this issue. They're doing some sort of weird ritual, throwing a live person into a dug up grave site, and we don't have any clue what's going on there. Then we have this other side story that's been going on for quite a while now. Some powerful sorcerer or wizard of some sort is working to try and figure out how to get his way into being part of the power base of this new shift with Abe, you know, seemingly with Abe Sapien and the fish people and all that stuff that's going on right now. It's taking over the Hellboy universe, and so that's an interesting aspect. We only see little bits and pieces of that coming together, and it's this kind of interesting, eerie side story that is pretty cool too, and whatnot. Really enjoy it. It's just a really good book. It's interesting seeing Abe try to deal with stuff, because everything he has to deal with, what would be a reasonable person's reaction to, and dealing with it. Of course, his is compounded and complicated dramatically because, of course, he is Abe Sapien. Some people really know who he is, and even if you don't know who he is, he's this fish guy, and so people's reaction to him is uniquely interesting. So great book. Fatale issue number 20. Really good issue. We've got, I believe, 4 more issues left, and this title is done. So things are starting to come to a header. Josephine here really gets her shit together. She takes care of business. You get some really incredible aspects here as she finally catches up with our kind of other main character that's kind of drifted through the book, a lot of the book in this. She saves him from this other maniac that, of course, has been affected by Josephine. Josephine drives that man to madness, and with just her power, just by basically staring at him and talking to him and caressing his cheek drives him into madness. And so our other male main character sees something that we, as readers, haven't seen since like the first couple issues of this run, when he comes across his father, and his father is this kind of raving mad lunatic. And because that is how this guy's captor, who's darn near getting ready to kill him, ends up being. And the association, the realization that the reason his father is damaged so badly now is because of Josephine, but he can't figure out how to escape the fact that even though he's been beat within an inch of his life and he's basically at the worst days of his life, that this is also the best day of his life because Josephine has come back into his life in some sense. It's captivating and riveting and disturbing all at the same time. Really, really enjoying this book. Really excited for those next 4 issues to see how this thing all ends out, what the story is finally told, what really happens. I don't know that it's going to be a good ending for anybody at this point. I don't know that there's a way this comes out with happy thoughts. I think this comes out with a lot of damaged people at best. So, but very, very good. Very, very good. Manifest Destiny, issue number 4. I'm not feeling this book as much. We've kind of dealt with the zombie plague stuff to a large degree. We, Sacagawea, this young woman, has basically, looks like she's completely dealt with all the centaur, buffalo, minotaur, whatever the heck you want to call them, creatures, single-handedly by herself. So that storyline's suddenly now gone. You know, we get introduced to her and the guy that's selling her. I can't remember historically his name right now. I do like historical fiction, alternate history stuff. I was excited about that for this. There's some extremely kind of racist stuff that goes on in this, and I understand it's of the era and whatnot, but still feels gross to me. There's some comments about Sacagawea and her genitalia and stuff like that that I'm really not real keen on. I don't know. I may be dropping this book. I don't like the jump it just took. I mean, there's parts of it I still like. I still like the idea of the book, but it just took some dramatic jumps and just kind of cleared up what I thought were potential plot lines with really simple non-answers. And so, I don't know. So, not as excited by the book. We'll probably get the next issue and that'll 100% make up my mind. But yeah, there were definitely some parts of the book that were off-putting. The racial stuff, like I said, I get it. It's part of the era and whatnot, but I don't know that they had to be the way that they were to display that. So, whatever. The Mercenary Sea, issue number 1. It's nice work if you can get it. Kind of like the idea of this. I wasn't sure exactly what the idea was, but I saw some images of it, so I ordered it just to see what it's like. You know, get some other thing in here. I kind of like the idea of this kind of, pre-World War II submarine full of guys just kind of messing around in the South Indochina Sea and that area, and what kind of adventures they could get into. Maybe we get some Monster Island, or who knows all what out of it. I wasn't really impressed with the book. The art for me was okay. The backgrounds were way too simplified, I thought, way too photoshopped, and not in a way that was appealing to my eye. I mean, there are other artists who do the exact same thing, and I really like it there. For some reason, I didn't like it here. I'm not exactly sure what that is. Hopefully at some point I'll be able to find words to talk about it in a way that I can describe how one thing works and the other thing doesn't. Just have some of those things that doesn't. I didn't think there was much story really here either. We get a brief introduction to the characters. You know, they soundly hit us over the head with the fact that the submarine is just full of misfits that are hiding from society, and that's why they have the jobs that they have. And there might be treasure out there somewhere for them to hunt down or whatever, but not anything really beyond that, I thought. There wasn't much. I mean, it's an adventure story, I guess, but we didn't have any adventure in this issue, and I think that if it's going to be an adventure book, you should have given me some of that right away, I think. Just not super excited about this. I'm looking forward to, I haven't seen other people's videos about this yet, so I'm going to be hunting those videos down, looking forward to hearing those people's thoughts, because I've seen on Twitter that some people really like this, so I want to hear their words. Maybe I'm missing something, maybe something encourages me to keep getting it. I don't know. But right now, I just, but it didn't excite me. So, books that really did excite me. This is The Bunker issue 1. Joshua Hill Falkoff and doing the writing, and Joe Infernina doing the artwork on it. Holy cows! This is basically the equivalent of 2 issues. It's super thick, out by Oni Press. Originally, these first 2 issues were digitally produced, and you could read them digitally. And then they got together with Oni Press and worked out something, so we're going to get a actual ongoing comic. Super excited about this. I've liked Joshua Hale Falkoff's work in the past. Really liked him on iVampire, so I've been looking for a book of his that I'd be excited about to get behind. Decided, heck, if he's doing an indie book, I would check that out, see what that's like. And man, I'm really liking this. It's very interesting. It's called The Bunker because we get these 5 basically college friends, like they've done the initial graduate school or whatever. I mean, they've done the initial 4 years or whatever seems to be where they're at. They're all getting ready to kind of, to some degree, go their separate ways. They don't know when they'll see each other again. So they decide they're going to do the old Big Chill thing from the movie The Big Chill, and they're going to bury a time capsule, and then 20 years from now they'll dig it up and do the Big Chill thing and remember all this stuff in the past. So they're out in what I think is the Yosemite Forest. Out in a national forest, they're going to go bury this time capsule. You kind of get their personality as they're going out there. You know, some of them think it's dumb, some of them think it's going to be fun, you know, whatever. It's their last night together. Let's do this, have a good time. We can go about our way. Why not? They go to bury this time capsule, and when they go to shove the shovel into the ground, it clanks into something big and heavy and metal. They scrape away the pine needles, and there's this big metal, basically, sheet across the ground. It's got 4 of the 5 people's names written professionally, like, military, spray painted onto it, and a hatch to open up. Nobody knows what it is. Like, okay, whose funny joke is this? They all kind of accuse each other of ha. They open it up, they go inside this bunker, and this massive bunker is full of paperwork and records and knowledge, and there's letters to every single character that's in the book except for one character. And these letters, basically, they find out, they seemingly are from future versions of themselves. They kind of go, hey, you're not going to believe this, but this is all real. The future is going to be really bad. The world is going to get hit with this massive plague that is going to wipe out most everyone that's there. But you need to follow through with all of this stuff anyway. Because if you don't, the entire world's going to end. Instead of just billions of people dying, everything's going to go. And there are some interesting aspects in here as to how these people all fit into that responsibility. One of them is an agriculturist. He actually develops this strain of wheat that is resistant to everything. And that's the initial downfall. They take it to third world countries, those people grow it, start eating it, and it does something. We don't know exactly what. It does something, it affects the food chain, and it wipes everyone out, kind of a thing. Other aspects in here is one of these characters is the future president of the United States. And his letter basically says, hey, look, I'm giving you all this. You have to make sure this all stays together. You have to make sure that everybody goes through the motions they're supposed to go through, because if they don't, we don't succeed, and things are much worse. It is really, truly the end. Instead of just feeling like an apocalypse, it really will be the end of everything. One of these women ends up being the First Lady, but she doesn't have a relationship with that person right now. She has a relationship with somebody else, as does another woman that's here too. There's some complicated interpersonal stuff that goes on in these first things. It's just really kind of gripping, really compelling. It's very, very compelling. The way it's written, the art style in it and whatnot is just really, really, really cool. And interesting to see exactly how these pieces go forward, as we're going to see these people attempting to live their current lives while we get flash forwards of these people as older adults dealing with the situation at hand. Very excited to get my hands on the next issues and whatnot, to see where this roller coaster goes, because it's pretty awesome. I'm really, really excited about it. I believe that's probably my book of the week for both the No Capes and superhero books for this week. I normally don't pick a book of the week, but that's certainly the book I'm most excited about. So, next up is Letter 44, issue number 4. I'm not really feeling this book. This is a Charles Soule book. I'm not feeling so much. I love the idea of it. I like the space aspect, except for the very last page of this. I'm kind of like, what the F about it. And I don't know that I'm in an excited way. It looks Looney Toony enough that I may have problems taking it seriously because of how wacky that part is. So we'll see. Yeah. The presidential part of it, I've been kind of iffy on. I'm excited to see what happens now because he's been given some more information. He now immediately knows that people are effing with him, and he knows that part of that is like the military that's screwing with him. So you've got this aspect that I've always thought was kind of interesting, the administrative branch who's supposed to be in charge of the military branch, and what happens in the military branch in the United States starts to decide it's doing its own thing. I mean, we're on the, I'm not saying there's a coup going on, but it has coup-like symptoms. So that could be interesting. Really wish we had different art on the book. That tends to pull me away from the book there also. But still enough stuff going on right now. I'm still curious to see what things happen and whatnot. I'm mostly interested about the space part of it right now and their situation, how they're going to deal with the stuff that's going on. Because our pregnant astronaut, her water broke, so we're going to have a baby coming pretty soon. And we have made first contact with alien something. I don't know that we've actually seen life forms, but we come first contact with actual alien technology and potentially some of the ramifications coming from that. So, exciting as far as that part goes. Tringarand. I'm still, this is issue number 7. I'm still actually enjoying this story. I'm now beginning to wonder where it's really going to. We get an interesting kind of heaven versus itself kind of aspect here. We get this story about this angel who basically questions some of this stuff, but doesn't actually fall, doesn't truly fall, but just refuses to participate in the crazy that used to be going on, this war that used to be going on over humanity and all of that stuff. And he's free, but the forces and the powers that be do not want him free and are going to do everything they can to shut him down. And for some reason, they're leaving our main character alone. They'll avoid him. They'll pull their punches. They won't truly affect him. So you get the impression that somebody wants him there in some sense, that he's doing something they want. Now it's a matter of how much is he being manipulated and how much is he doing what he wants to do and stuff. So I'm on board for a while longer. I don't know how much longer this comic's going to last, quite frankly. It feels like that when this story gets done, there isn't anything else left to tell at this point. But I'm enjoying it enough. I'm gonna keep going on. It has some curious and interesting aspects to it, so I'll keep reading it. I'm one of the few people that's keep reading it, but I will keep reading it. And finally, for this time, Six Gun, issue number 38. With Asher Cobb there holding up the our title, and Asher Cobb is coming after Drake Sinclair, because he is convinced now by the bad guys, basically by the Gray Lady, has been convinced that that Drake has lied to him this entire time. He doesn't plan on rewriting the future and the world to bring his dead love back, and so he is going to have his revenge on Drake. He is going to take the guns from Drake. He is going to strangle the life out of Drake and make it happen. Doesn't really work out that way. Drake kind of knew this day was coming anyway, because Drake really hopes to destroy the guns, not rewrite history yet again. He knows, he feels like he has before. He does not want to get to that point. He really wants to fix it before that. So he's desperately trying to make sure that doesn't happen. So, you know, Asher's in his way. So bad things are going to really happen there. And of course we have the Snake Men and the Grey Lady's other minions dealing with Gord and Kirby in violent fashion, and bad stuff is happening there. Consequences are happening there that I'm not sure people are all going to walk away from, which is really cool, really interesting aspects to see exactly what goes on going forward. No idea at this point where the book's going, which I find really exciting. That I don't have a prediction to say, ooh, this is the next steps that are coming. So yeah, loving it as always. Six Gun, great book, great week of comics. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody, and I will catch you all later on in the week. Have a good one.